If you've watched this channel the past couple of years, you've known that I'm a big fan of M&M's. I like Kyle Busch a bit. I'm not going to say he's my favorite. He's not a top 5 one of my drivers, but I respect his talent and stuff. But you guys know I love M&M's. And whenever Kyle Busch wins, I do a certain celebration, I guess you could call it. But it's been since November 17th, 2019 since I've gotten to do this. You know what? Get rid of this hat. Give me a new hat. Dad, it's time! M&M time! Woo! Man, I love M&M's. By far my favorite chocolate. My favorite candy, whatever you want to call it. I love M&M's. It really has been since Homestead, since I've done that celebration. I think I started that about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. Started doing that. I was like, hey, when Kyle Busch wins, why not dump M&M's on myself? I love M&M's. So, anyways, just wanted to do that. It's been a while. Wanted to make a big deal out of it. But Kyle Busch upsets the playoff field and wins at Texas. Kyle Busch has won at Texas in the past. He's got 3 wins there, I think, or 3 or 4. But, you know, he's had a rough year. He hasn't won yet up until tonight. We didn't think he was going to win this year. It's been a rough year for that team. Round of 12 elimination. Remember, they won a championship last year. They had 4 or 5 wins last year, won the championship over at Homestead, and they came into this year. Everyone's like, they're probably going to do it again. They've made the Final Four the past 4 or 5 years. They'll make it again. But they shocked the world and had like 1 playoff point coming into the playoffs. Did terrible. The first round they did decent. Second round they did terrible. Got eliminated. And everyone's like, wow, Kyle Busch is actually about to go winless this year. And then he shows up tonight in fuel mileage and wins the race. I was kind of shocked, but we have talked about playoff drivers winning playoff races for so long. It's been about 5 years since a non-playoff driver's won, and tonight that streak ends. Kyle Busch, a non-playoff driver, wins at Texas, and it's very upsetting for the guy who finished behind him, Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. was chasing down Kyle Busch there late. Kyle Busch had been saving fuel. He was going on a 65-lap run, I think, trying to save as much fuel as he could. I think that was a little bit over the window. I think the pit window was 60 to 63 laps, so they were going a little bit longer than expected. And Martin Truex needed a win to make the championship forward, because back on Sunday, you remember that? All the way back on Sunday when we started this race like a year ago? Yeah. Martin Truex Jr. was docked 20 points for an illegal spoiler. His crew chief was suspended or ejected, whatever you want to call it. And so they had a backup crew chief, and they had to start from the back, and they were in a must-win situation. So if they won tonight, they would have been in the championship forward, but Kyle Busch was able to save enough fuel thanks to some coaching from Adam Stevens, and he was able to win, plain and simple. Able to hold on to that fuel somehow, some way. But yeah, as I said, man, it's Wednesday, and it wasn't scheduled to be a Wednesday race. We've had Wednesday races this year, remember. Back in the spring when we had the comeback from the Big Rona, and we had a Darlington Wednesday race. We had a Charlotte Wednesday race. I think we had a Martinsville Wednesday race. We had a lot of Wednesday races to kind of make up for the schedule that had been pushed back. This was a Sunday scheduled race. We had missed on Sunday, missed on Monday, missed on Tuesday, missed this morning, and yeah, it ended up being a Texas late afternoon night race. I love Texas night race, but I don't want a Texas Wednesday night race. It's Wednesday. But on the bright side, we're back on track in 2 days with the NAS trucks. And then Saturday, we got the Xfinity. And Sunday, we got the Cup Series at Martinsville, the round of 8 cutoff. Ooh, that'll be a fun one. Anyways, we're here to talk about a non-playoff driver winning. I'm like, seriously, I feel like it's been forever since a non-playoff driver has won. I also feel like it's been forever since we started this race, which was the official time. I'll show you over my face. 72 hours and like 40 minutes or something. I don't know. But long time. A long delay. And we finally get this race in. Man, that delay was terrible. Waiting around all day Monday. Waiting around all day Tuesday. Knowing it wouldn't open up. And then it looked like it would. But mist was there. It's like it wasn't even a rain. That was the most frustrating part. It wasn't even raining. It was misting. Mist. Like, it's outrageous. Anyways, no major, one major playoff implication. Chase Elliott, of course, about halfway through this race, I want to say, maybe a little after halfway. Chase Elliott, you know, he was running top 10-ish, yeah, around there. He had gained some stage points to kind of close the gap on Keselowski. Was outrunning Keselowski, so he was in the championship 4 by a couple points. And then he went to pit. They did fuel only, and as they exited the pit, they had a tire go down. Had to come back around, pit again, and they were pinned a lap down for the rest of the race because there were no cautions, and they finished 20-something. Other almost big playoff implications, Kevin Harvick early in this race, way back on Sunday, was leading this race, and it started to mist. The track was getting moist, and Kevin Harvick went up the track and hit the wall. He was in 36th for about 72 hours. Kevin Harvick, who's been dominating this year, was in 36th for 72 hours and only like 4 points above the cutoff line. Denny Hamlin slid up the racetrack. He went back to 30th. And then when we came back today, about 4 laps into this thing, Matt Kenseth got really loose, slid up in front of Hamlin. Hamlin had nowhere to go. Hit Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth went spinning, and Hamlin had a hole in his nose or something that they had to repair. And it was like, oh, is that bad for Hamlin? He ended up being fine with Elliott's issues. It really widened the gap for Keselowski and Hamlin. And then obviously Harvick's got like a 45-point gap. But yeah, that's your main playoff issues. As for the race itself, the Matt Kenseth Bubba Wallace thing was the only incident or any major crashes, I guess. The fuel mileage made it really interesting at the end if Kyle Busch was going to make it. Clint Boyer took the lead at the end there, but they didn't get enough fuel in the car, so they pitted with about 20 to go. They couldn't make it, but non-playoff drivers, they dominated today. Kyle Busch led, I want to say 60, 70, maybe 80 laps. Clint Boyer maybe 90, 100 laps. Ryan Blaney led 20 or 30 laps. Going down this list, DiBenedetto led a few laps on pit cycle. Who else led laps? Man, but we'll go through this list. We'll remember. But yeah, a lot of non-playoff drivers really led a ton of laps. They swept the stages. Clint Boyer won stage 1, Kyle Busch stage 2. Kyle Busch won the race. So non-playoff drivers dominated today. We don't see that very often in the playoffs. We see, one car go out and dominate, or we see a couple cars go out and dominate. A lot of cars alternate the lead, with the exception of Talladega, I guess. Talladega is the only time we don't see a playoff driver dominate a race. But Texas is a place where, like the past few years, we've seen Kevin Harvick go lead 200-plus laps, win, lock his championship 4 spot up. Before that, Jimmy Johnson, yeah, playoffs or not playoffs, he would win at Texas. But other than that, it's been playoff guys winning. So this was a nice change, I guess. But Kyle Busch gets his first win of the 2020 season. He's had all those quotes. It's still 2020. We suck in 2020. We're going to get eliminated or whatever. He may have said they won. It doesn't get them back into the playoffs or anything. But a win's a win. You get a trophy. You get a hat. You get a couple pew-pew, like they do at Texas Motor Speedway. So Kyle Busch gets a trophy. They get a nice little bonus check, I bet. Martin Truex Jr. finished second in a must-win. Most likely we'll go over the points at the end of this video, but Martin Truex Jr. not looking good, but he has won the last 2 Martinsville races, and the next track is, you guessed it, Martinsville. So Martin trying to make Martinsville Martins again. There you go. But yeah, once again, he had a really good car, started at the back, was able to rally into the top 5 early in the first stage due to some strategy. Finished second in that first stage. He was a top 3 car all day, had a lot of speed, but unfortunately couldn't get it done there at the end, which could be costly. Christopher Bell with a 3rd place finish. How about that? Levine Family Racing, their home race, their home track, Texas Motor Speedway, with a throwback to one of their first paint schemes or something, or one of their old paint schemes from back in a decade or 2 ago. And they go out and they run top 5 and they finish 3rd. They were having a nice little battle there with Martin Truex Jr. towards the end. So if Kyle Busch ran out of fuel, that would have been the battle for the win. If Christopher Bell looking for his first career win, looking to give a storybook ending to Levine Family Racing, or Martin Truex Jr. trying to punch his spot into the championship 4, Bell was able to lock up a 3rd place finish, a really good, I think that's a career high finish for him, correct me if I'm wrong, but a really good day for them at Texas, a good last run at Texas for them, so really happy for them. 4th, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, ever since the repave at Texas, has been incredible. He leads a ton of laps. He runs top 5, so I'm not surprised about this one. 5th, Alex Bowman. Not enough, unfortunately. A really good run. They led some laps early on. They weren't able to collect stage points, which was ultimately the biggest slap on them, I guess. But 5th place finish is a good day, but it's not enough to close the gap on Keselowski and Hamlin. They are in a miracle point situation or a must win. 6, Brad Keselowski, he did what he had to. Maintain points gap, or actually extended it. He was only 8 above coming into this race, so he extended it. Kurt Busch, 7th. If they don't win, they don't advance, so 7th doesn't mean anything. 8th, Matt DiBenedetto, did a really good day for him. Back in the summer, he was running top 5, was involved in an incident due to Quinn Houff pitting from the 3rd lane. Good rally today. They were in the top 10, top 15 most of the day. Got an 8th place finish. Really good day for Matty D. 9th place, Denny Hamlin. As I said, he had that hole in the car early on in the race, was able to rally back for a top 10. Just like Keselowski, getting a decent gap, extended that gap just a few points. Not a great day for them. They didn't collect any stage points. They didn't do anything like that. They were never up front, but they did enough. Right now, it's enough. If we get a new winner next week and he has a problem, then we may be talking about a different situation, but as of now, it's enough. 10th, Joey Logano. It doesn't matter what he does. He's advanced to Phoenix, so there you go. 11th, Austin Dillon. Your July winner finishes 11th. 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Good run for him. 13th, William Byron. 14th, Cole Custer. 15th, Tyler Reddick. That is your lead lap. Kevin Harvick, 16th. After they hit the wall, they were weird. They looked really good. They got up to 5th or something, and then they were terrible. Like Harvick said, the front tires were chattering, and they just couldn't pass anyone. It was I don't know. They've won the last 3 fall races at Texas, and they sucked. It was shocking. 16th. 17th, Clint Bowyer. 17th does not show what that car was. That car was a top 5 car. That was a race-winning car. If the fuel goes in the tank, if they get a caution there at the end, they might have had a shot, but that was a really good car. Next week, that was a really good opportunity for him to get his last win today, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. 18th, Ryan Preece, decent run for him. 19th, Ryan Newman. 20th, Chase Elliott. As I said, that tire just killed their playoff hopes. They overcame that 20-25 point gap last year in the round of 12 at Kansas by miraculously. It's going to be hard to pull that miracle off again. They're going to need a win next week at Martinsville. That tire really did kill them. So looking at a must win for basically everyone that's not already in the Final 4. But yeah, unless someone wins. If someone wins next week, that tightens the gap to like 1 point between Keselowski and Hamlin. There we go. 21st, Eric Jones. No, that's not good. 22nd, John Hunter Nemechek was in the top 10 for a bit, but I guess something happened. 23rd, Eric Almirola. 24th, Ty Dillon. 25th, Corey LaJoie. 26th, Michael McDowell. 27th, Daniel Suarez. 28th, Brennan Poole. 29th, Josh Bilicki. 30th, Timmy Hill. Top 30. Attaboy Timmy. 31st, Garrett Smithley. 32nd, Reed Sorensen. 33rd, Quinn Houff. 34th, Chris Buescher. Crashed on lap 5 and was like 20 laps down. 35th, Chad Fincham. 36th, Jimmy. I picked Jimmy to win this race. They were looking good. They had a top 10 car. In fact, they were in the top 5 for a bit, and the engine decided just to die. Very unfortunate. 37th, Joey Gase. 38th, Bubba Wallace. 39th, Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth, oh man. I get that this car was not made for him. I get that this was a sudden move into this car. It has been a horrific year for Matt Kenseth. I don't think it's going to ruin his legacy. He's still Cup champion. He's still got 40-plus wins, but he has been awful this year. 40th, J.J. Ailey. Let's look at the points. Here are your points. Joey Logano is still locked into the Final 4 with a win. Harvick is plus 42, so it's basically just hope no one below the cutoff wins and hope you don't wreck. No pressure. Hamlin and Keselowski just have to hope no one below the cutoff line wins and get a top 20. They'll survive, as Hamlin is 27 points above, Keselowski 25 points above. Bowman through Kurt Busch, they need a win, or they need a miracle. Bowman and Elliott are both 25 below. Truex 36 below. Kurt Busch is mathematically in a must-win situation, 81 points below the cutoff line. Yeah, it's very... If nothing happens next week, it's going to be a very anticlimactic race when it comes to the championship 4. It's going to be these 4 most likely, unless someone pulls a win off at Martinsville. But yeah, Martinsville's a fun track. I love Martinsville. But as for today, if it wasn't for that fuel mileage, that was tough to watch. Now, the aero package, you couldn't pass anyone once again. Ever since they jacked up 1 and 2 at Texas, it's been a mess. You got one groove on the bottom. You can try to get that grippy stuff on the second lane. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. Sometimes you go up the track. Sometimes you're able to get side by side, but ultimately this package is just, I'm hoping this is it next year. I hope next year's the last year of this thing. Other than the fuel mileage made it really interesting, but other than that, the racing itself wasn't that great in my opinion. Gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10, but yeah. Kyle Busch with his win. Finally gets a win in 2020. How about that? It only took him however many races it's been since Homestead, but it took him a while. He keeps that streak alive of like 16 straight seasons with a win. Yeah, nothing else to say. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. We'll be back tomorrow with a fun announcement. Friday, we'll do a fun video. Saturday, Martinsville preview or whatever. And then Sunday, Martinsville race. Hopefully there's not a 4-day rain delay.